live before lock thumbnail on this damn strategy show, so that'll be confusing. Whatever, nobody reads that stuff anyway. What's going on, everybody? Here we are, Tuesday, February 5th, and we've got a real one here. I mean, the games are terrible, but we've got a real 8-game slate on a Tuesday. How long is this going to take?
I don't know, man. It's crazy. We had, last time we did the show, we had 7 games. Now we got 8 games the very next show.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something strange is happening.
I think the universe is trying to get back at Adam for winning in DFS by making him write longer deep dive articles.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, God. Last night was fine. Nothing really interesting, I think, coming out of any of the games. We've got Sixers Raptors today if we're looking for anything high end. Probably no Kyle Lowry, but at least a fun game. Some of these other games not the best, but could be a good place to, out research the competition maybe. I don't know.
It's possible. I find it crazy too that the San Antonio Spurs have been playing some ridiculously high just going back to yesterday real quickly.
Yeah.
Some really high total games recently. Like that game had a 231 total, and I was live betting it, and I'm following the total throughout the game, and it's up to 244, 241. Finished at like 238. I think you finished at 238, I think. But I went back and I looked at their other games. Man, in regulation, they're talking like 250, like 240, 230, 245 almost every night. They had a couple low scoring ones there, but it just goes to show you how much the game is changing, man.
It really is. It's hard to break free of those like preconceived notions of a team too, particularly with the Spurs, where you just mentally picture them as a very different team.
Right. No question. They're not anymore.
No, they're not. Normal stuff. NBA Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any package you want, including Fantasy Cruncher. You can get that right from the homepage. So if you go to awesomeo.com, enter the promo code NBA Strategy, one big word after you join. But Fantasy Cruncher right here. Every sport, all the rewinds, invaluable tool. We use it constantly. I'll be in and out of it all day. But that's what you get, 50% off. And shout out to Thrive for just being awesome. We got 8 games. I think we should just dive in. What do you think?
I definitely think we should just dive in, sir.
Okay. I don't have any good like Red Dead stories or anything to take us on a 15-minute.
Oh, I got some great ones, but I won't do that to you.
Sure.
I got some real good ones. Actually, I told you one last night.
You
but
did indeed.
I don't even think I should tell that. So
no, you shouldn't.
Fortunately, we can jump right into this 8-game slate.
Yeah. Let's do it. First game up, the Charlotte Hornets hosting the Los Angeles Clippers. 114.75 implied total for the Clips. 111.25. Nope. 114.75 for the Hornets. 111.25 for the Clips. And the big news here is that Cody Zeller probable today, which means that we might get good Kemba back. Kemba's 9,300 on FanDuel, 8,700 on DraftKings, $33 on Yahoo. A little bit of a pace up spot for the Hornets. How you feeling about Kemba here with the return of Cody Zeller?
Depending on the price, it's 87 on draft. It's funny too because Kemba Walker just the other day was 8,100.
I know.
If I was getting in there, I'd probably be locking him in.
I was going to say 8,100 would probably be the price tag with Zeller back, where he is,
right?
Arguably the best play of the slate.
Yeah, no question. I like him against the Clippers. I mean, you're talking about a pace up spot, the usual, right? There's nothing here that stands out that we haven't discussed a million times in the past. The Clippers play at an elevated pace defensively. They're not that good, but Kemba Walker really has struggled, and there's no denying that. I mean, you look at the guy's numbers recently. The assist totals have been shockingly bad, and that needs to change. Can Zeller being back make a difference? It's possible. I would hope so. But at the same time, how much run are we going to get from Cody Zeller here? He's been out for about 35 days now. It's a hand injury though, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
He should still be in
generally
like running shape.
right. You would think so. Outside of the fact that he's like a 7'1" white dude, so
Yeah.
maybe that could hinder his recovery a little bit. But no, I think Kemba's a perfectly fine play and a strong play at that. But I don't know if Zeller in his first game back is just going to make it so, Kemba goes for 65.
Yeah, I put Zeller in for 22 minutes. And you mentioned the assist numbers. It's shocking to me that his assist numbers drop when Bismack Biyombo becomes the center. I wouldn't have seen that coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like I think, if Zeller gets something in the 22-minute range, I give Kemba a little bit of boost. He's been a 1.1 point per minute guy over the last 30 days. I think it's reasonable to see him as like a 1.2 guy here, which means that I'm interested.
Yeah.
He's playing massive minutes, 36, 37 in close games. No reason to suspect that this game wouldn't be close. Clippers play a ton of guards. Not that really matters, but it's not like there's any weird matchups or anything here. I'm in for Kemba.
I am
Finally.
too. It's been a while. But a couple of things too here is this. I expect this game to see a lot of scoring. Like this, I expect to see this. What does that have? A 226 total.
Yeah.
Charlotte's 3.5-point favorite. So two pretty evenly matched teams. A high total, and the only thing again with Kemba is like, do we? So you got Westbrook on the slate, not really in the same tier, but then you've got Kemba Walker, you've got Damian Lillard, you've got Kyrie Irving, who's been ruled out.
Yes.
And then you've got Ben Simmons, Mike Conley, all somewhere close. At least on DraftKings, they're all $700 within each other. Yeah, I think you could definitely make the argument that of those four, Kemba is the top play of those four.
We're being told that Kemba is inconsistent and Zeller's going to take away shots. Yeah.
Well,
Zeller was the best thing to happen to Kemba all season.
Kemba is inconsistent.
Yeah.
But he is, dude. Kemba Walker is undoubtedly one. When he's upwards of 9K, it was pretty frequent that you wouldn't get the greatest Kemba game, but act like Cody Zeller, who is on average getting up 3 to 6 shots a game, is going to take away opportunities from him. I mean, that's just craziness.
Man, I don't know how to use the word consistent here because I feel like Kemba Walker is one of the most consistent players in the NBA, but maybe that's just a function of playing time in my head.
I mean, I guess we can agree to disagree on the function of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like in my head, I'm just picturing like, oh, this is a guy that's going to take like 18 shots every game, no matter what. He runs the offense. He's never going to just be like a ghost in the system. I don't know, but his fantasy performance is inconsistent. I agree with.
Performance, yeah, not opportunity or volume. Yeah. No, of course not, or minutes. That's all going to be there. But he, even without Cody Zeller, he's not the greatest passing point guard in the league. He's not the greatest rebounding point guard in the league. So, high ceiling, upwards. He's coming off a 65 fantasy point game, right? And we know that he can do it. But how about this? Let's, instead of calling him inconsistent, we'll say he has a wide range of outcomes.
Sure, we can paint it. However, I understand what you meant, and I don't disagree. It just wasn't the first way that I thought about it.
Yeah, I hear you, but I don't think Cody Zeller's 5 field goal attempts are really going to siphon anything away from him.
No, not so much. Cody Zeller was a huge part in Kemba having a monster start to the season. I'm very happy he's back. Do you care about anything else from the Hornets?
No, not really. I mean, you can talk all you want about about Nicholas Batum and him figuring things out, but you're still going to be hard pressed to convince me that that's where I want to go. Um, I, I have a very tough time. I have a very, very tough time seeing anybody outside of Kemba Walker as a top play. And I mean, just if you were to look over everything, Jeremy Lamb, not a bad play. I probably should have thrown that out there. But you want to talk about inconsistent playing time? The minutes for Kemba Walker or for Jeremy Lamb have been a little bit concerning recently.
Yes.
That's something I don't like because it's not like we're paying 4,800 for him anymore. We're paying 58 on DraftKings and on FanDuel 55, which is a little bit friendlier. You still want to know that you're going to get 30 minutes from him, and that's not the case. So with Jeremy Lamb, that's my biggest concern. And aside from that, the one guy, yeah. If we hear anything about minutes, I actually think Cody Zeller is a decent enough play. He's down to 4,000 on DraftKings. Cody Zeller is always. You and I talked about this last show, not about Zeller, but about other players. Cody Zeller is the guy that you have in your back pocket in case no value opens up and you can use him, right? And he's the first guy off the list once we start to get value throughout the day. But this is a really bad Clippers team when it comes to defending opposing centers. They don't have the bigs to protect to box somebody like him out. They're not a good rebounding team, or at least good at keeping rebounds out of their hands. And Cody Zeller really doesn't need to do much at such a cheap cost. Let's see if he can play, if he's not limited, if he can play 25, 26 minutes, 4K definitely makes sense on Cody Zeller.
Yeah, I have no problem with that, but we're going to need to know how much he's playing today.
For sure. 100%.
Because there's very little downside to Zeller here, especially in this matchup against the Clippers where, they don't really play a center of value. Not like Cody Zeller's worried about Montrezl Harrell,
Right.
Or Boban for that matter.
No, not at all. And he's actually been pretty consistent this year, but by consistent, it's like, you get your 24 to 27 fantasy points and you move on.
Yeah. Malik Monk on DraftKings for 3,800. YouTube chat seems to be talking him up.
Yeah. My projections actually do like Malik Monk. Just not particularly big on this guy.
You really need those 26 minutes that he got in 2 of those games instead of 20 or 22.
Yeah, and the Hornets really don't. When you look at the Hornets rotation, they don't really have any, exclusive subs. This guy for this guy. It's kind of go back. Look at the game flow on certain games, kind of all over the place. So it's tough to get an idea of who's going to get those minutes. I can tell you this. If you're playing Lamb, you don't play Monk. But when it comes to Monk, I guess number one, Tony Parker's expected to play, right?
As far as I know,
Not that should have much of an impact, but with Monk, really, if Monk's going to be popular, I'll put it to you this: if Monk's going to be popular, I could see myself not having any of him.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Just because he's 100% the type of guy. Yes, his usage has been up lately. It's good to see that, but he's the type of guy that he could either play 19 minutes or he could play 25 minutes and just shoot really poorly and do nothing else outside of scoring. And I don't mind fading those guys when they have some ownership.
Totally agree. 3,800 is a worthwhile price tag if you think that he gets a couple extra minutes. I'm not really excited about it. He's still only a 0.87 guy over the last 30 days, so I'm not. He's just there. If no value opens up, he looks more desirable. As soon as it starts to open up, you can pretty easily get away from it. Kind of a one-trick pony, so you need a very specific game out of Monk. Let's head to the Clippers. How many minutes do you think Boban plays today? Because I think we need to start there. He has played 17, 17, and 13 the last 3 games.
It's incredible, isn't it?
I don't know what to do anymore with these guys.
No, especially given that so Bowen's played 17, 17, and 13. That 17 and 17 was a back to back too.
Yeah.
Uh,
He could play 0 tonight, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes perfect sense.
right. Gortat played 0, 4, and 16 in those same 3 games. And Montrezl Harrell played 30. He fouled out in 30 minutes. 30, 36, and 23 in those 3 games. So, yeah, it's a really good question. How many minutes do we get from Boban? The problem is, we talk about this a lot and say, well, you can only take what we know and what we've seen and apply that to this. Well, on one hand, you can apply his, decent minutes lately, talking about Boban, and say he should get that again. On the other hand, you could apply what we've seen all season where Boban plays, 15 plus minutes in 3 straight games and then doesn't play at all the very next game.
Yeah.
So I don't have a good answer on this.
No.
I don't think there is a good answer on this. Like you said, if he didn't play any minutes, it wouldn't be that big of a surprise. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, against Detroit, it makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. Even if you wanted to say against the Lakers, fine, when you're rotating in like
They have 3
JaVale and
legitimate
Tyson
centers.
Chandler.
Yeah.
But Toronto is a bit of a strange one.
Yeah. That one I didn't see coming.
Me neither. You could say, yeah, Charlotte runs traditional centers out there, whether it's Zeller or Biyombo is only 6'9", Hernan Gomez,
Nice.
but I wish I had a good answer for you. I'm not going to pretend like I do because I don't even know if Doc Rivers knows how many minutes Boban's going to play or if he's going to play.
Yeah, I don't have much interest on FanDuel. 3,500 on DK. You can talk me into using him in bulk. If I'm playing like 150 as a value option, just at that price tag, so he can get you to 30 if he plays 17, 18 minutes pretty easily. But I can't get too excited. The guy that is most interesting here for me, and I hate it, but his price is nuts. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is $6,400 on FanDuel and $4,400 on DraftKings. I could safely say this: you don't need to play him on FanDuel.
Yeah, you know how I feel about this guy.
Yeah, but 4,400 on DK isn't bad for the morning at least.
No, it's not. It's good, nice little disclaimer there for the morning. You're right. So much can change throughout the day. With Gilgeous-Alexander drives me nuts.
Yep.
Because he could be out there for 36 minutes and do absolutely nothing, right?
It all depends if I recommend him in the morning.
There you go.
If I think he sucks, sure as shit
he
is
has
going
a
off.
great game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you look at his production. I don't want to be that guy, but his floor is like 15.
Yeah.
So I still he's only a guy that I would have interest in tournaments. I don't trust him for cash. For those of you that play cash games, it's a spot that I just don't see myself getting to right now. Now, once again, yeah, does it matter what type of value opens up? Of course it does. And right now, we've got some question marks regarding injury statuses, but not as many as I would have thought. I mean, obviously, we have guys that are doubtful, like you mentioned, Lowry, Teague is doubtful, Garrett Temple, a few of those guys. But we kind of know who's out for the most part or know who's going to be out. And then all the guys that are questionable are not really big name players, outside of if you wanted to mix in J. Michael Green and Joakim Noah, because that could make a difference in Memphis in a good spot. Is there really anything else we're waiting for outside of something that's probably going to surprise us? Not really.
No. I don't like this game.
You would think we'd like it more.
Everybody's just sort of like, if I got Tobias Harris in lineups, particularly on FanDuel, that's totally fine with me. Lou Will is super pricey right now, but I can get there and not like hate it. I can get there on Harrell. I just like there's not a lot of excitement in these spots.
No, there isn't.
They're just filler.
I think I think Harrell at 6,600 on DraftKings is pretty nice though. Even 7-2 on FanDuel, but it's not it's not a priority. None of them are priorities. Hell, I have a tough time just talking about these guys because there really isn't there's nothing really fresh or unique you can say about them. Both teams have been the same way kind of all season to some extent where like yeah, not a bad play. I can see fitting him in there, but you're not really stoked on him. Even with Gallinari still out for the Clippers, they still have enough bodies to make do. Um, and now you've gotten, prices that are coming up on guys like Patrick Beverly, whose minutes have actually come down, and you've got just I have a tough time with this. Tobias Harris, I don't see myself getting to really in any form. Montrezl Harrell because he's decently priced, and then Lou Williams, man. I mean, people I don't know, I think people really have a tough time playing him because they they
Because he
have
doesn't
this
start.
notion. Right, big for sure, that he doesn't start, and they have this notion that he's just gonna play 25 minutes. Maybe he will, it's possible, but when he's getting hot, he's playing 35, 38. Look at that, over 2 of his last 3 games, and he's just allowed to chuck. He's allowed to do whatever he wants, so, I don't think Lou Williams against the Charlotte defense that really has not been good recently,
Very bad.
uh yeah, very bad. Bottom 7 over the last month. I don't think it's a crazy thought, but none of these guys are priorities to me, no.
One thing I do want to point out: keep an eye on the starting lineup here. If Harrell is still a start, if Harrell starts again and Lou Williams doesn't, that's a knock to Harrell. That's something we dove into earlier this season when Lou Williams was out. But Harrell and Lou Will, or at least Harrell's performance, very highly correlated to Lou Williams being on the floor. And if Lou Will moves, or if Harrell moves to the starting lineup, that's just simply going to be less minutes that he plays with Lou, and therefore I think he's not as appealing as he normally would have been. I don't
Yep.
normally look at shit like that, but this one has been very specific where Harrell is a much different player with Lou Williams on.
It's kinda crazy too. I mean,
Yeah.
we got into why,
Yeah.
and we don't really have all the time in the world to go over that again, but there was definitely an impact there. And the other thing too is there was a big enough sample. It wasn't just like, 50 minutes on, 110 minutes off. That was pretty significant.
Yeah. Yeah. Harrell becomes basically non-existent offensively. He'll still get there for everything else. And you sort of saw this in the last game. He had like maybe 7 points, 8 points, something stupid. But he had like a really good stocks game and, basically wasted it. I want to
Right,
make sure.
and
I want to make sure I get it right.
stocks have nothing to do with Lou Williams.
Yeah, like he started the last 2 games that he started, he took 8 shots and 7 shots. He had a bunch of like 11, 13, 15 games right before that, just shot attempts. So he had a steal and 4 blocks in this last game, but because he only took 8 shots and only had 10 real points, he only got to 25.5 fantasy points, and it looks kind of like a dud. Price came down $300, so if Harrell does not start, I'm going to have a lot of Harrell.
Okay. A lot of who? Oh,
Harrell.
Harrell. You said Harrell if he does not start, yeah. 1.22 fantasy points per minute with Williams on the court this year, 0.99 in 440 minutes with him off the court. So it's not to say that Harrell can't have a decent game. It's just he is more appealing when Lou Williams is out there with him.
Yep. Alrighty, let's move on. That's probably more time than we should have spent there, but we should fly through this one pretty quickly. The Cleveland Cavaliers hosting the Boston Celtics. Cavs 101.25 implied total, tied for the worst on the slate. The Boston Celtics 113.25 implied total, 12-point favorites for the Celtics here. Probably the debut of Nick Stauskas and Wade Baldwin, I guess.
Awesome.
No more Rodney Hood for Cleveland. And no Chetty today, which means that Larry Nance is at least mildly in play. I would feel a little bit more comfortable if I had no part of Cleveland. Do you want to go here?
Of course I don't. It's heinous.
It's terrible, man. They're bad. They're so bad.
It's terrible. I mean, like, could you make an argument for Larry Nance? Maybe, but why waste the time? That's kind of the thing. Why even bother? It's just a miserable team. I don't like to just gloss over a team without without getting into whether or not there's value. But the guy, Clarkson, Burks,
Burks has been
eh,
playing massive minutes lately. He's also
huge
not
minutes.
great.
Right, right. Big minutes, and his price tag is up. If you were to give me Burks at like 4K flat, then fine. But it's also not a good matchup. And matchup clearly isn't everything. We talk about this a lot. It's clearly not everything, but it does matter enough when you're already playing guys on a terrible team.
Yeah.
So Clarkson, Burks, Sexton, they're all so similar in that, if one of them gets hot and one of them starts knocking down shots, you'll probably be okay. And because of that, if I were to play one of them, I'd probably just roll the dice on Sexton because he's, $1,000 cheaper than both of those guys. But furthest thing from a priority here, and I don't really know how you can prioritize anyone. You got David Nwaba back.
Yeah.
But he's David Nwaba, and really there's no need to have him on the court, especially when they're usually using him defensively. Uh, Where do you go to here? Are you going to play some Jared Blossom game?
I'd a dang a doll who
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure isn't that the name of the guy from Homeland? Something along.
maybe. I stopped watching Homeland after the second season.
Yeah, you got out at the right time. We bailed on it as well.
Like Burks is not crazy.
No,
He's
like you
playing
play a
a
little
lot of
Burks, you play
minutes.
a little Clarkson, you play a little Nance. If any of these guys are garnering any sort of high level ownership, just don't play them.
Yeah.
Is really the easiest way to do this.
What's funny right now is like Clarkson and Burks are actually popping as decent value for me, which kind of goes to show you what type of slate we're dealing with. So is Marvin Williams. I probably should have noted that in the last game. Marvin Williams is decent value. Unfortunately,
Keep an eye on
it's
his minutes now that Zeller is back. I assume he gets less at the 5 than he was before.
you would certainly think so. Uh, but right now, value is ugly.
It is
There's not
indeed.
a lot here.
Let's
There
talk about the
really isn't.
Celtics because at least there is value there. Or
Sure.
kinda. No Kyrie Irving. No Aaron Baines for a little bit. So we'll start Horford. 8K on FanDuel, 6,600 on DraftKings. A little bit of a difference. I'm not gonna find it very easy to get to 8K Horford on FanDuel, but 6,600 on DraftKings, I don't have much of an issue there.
No, Horford's a pretty strong play.
Yeah.
They are without Irving still 11.5 point road favorites, which is hilarious. Without their best player. But yeah, Al Horford 66. You're not going to need a ton from him there. And it's not only is he 66, he's 66 with Kyrie Irving out, which will definitely help him.
Yeah,
Take on.
if you were drafting one team out of both of these teams, how long would it take you before you had to pick a Cav?
You love this question.
I do, but this one even more particularly today. You got to go with what's healthy and what's about to play.
Okay, so a healthy. Okay, so Irving's off the board too, right?
Sure.
All right. So Tatum,
Yes.
and then if you want to throw in Rozier, Horford's getting up there in age. I'd probably get to a Cav directly before I get anywhere near Gordon Hayward.
Okay, so I was going to say Horford, Tatum, Rozier, Brown, Marcus Morris, Marcus Smart. I take all 6 of those guys before I take anyone from the Cavs.
But not Hayward.
I would probably take Hayward.
Nah, no, you wouldn't. He's Gordon Hayward.
Who are you taking? Is it Larry Nance? Is that the guy that we're going to say is the first pick?
Yep, for me it would be for sure.
I probably take Hayward, and then I have a really serious discussion with myself of whether or not I should take Daniel Tice first before I take Larry Nance.
Stop it. I would take Clarkson and Nance over Hayward.
Okay, you can have Clarkson. It's just
Gordon Hayward.
I might take Brad Wanamaker. You have Vasile playing? Where's Jabari Bird?
You want Ojale too?
Sure.
Gordon Hayward is just, I don't know, man. He doesn't have it right now. That
Yeah.
injury. He probably belongs on the Cavs when you think about it.
Jesus, yeah. New
What are you
Chetty.
doing with Rozier at his price?
Treating it like it should just be normal and not thinking about it in the scope of, oh, he's the backup, so you should jam him in.
Exactly.
Look, he's fine. He's 6,700. He should garner some sort of ownership in the mid-teens, and that makes perfect sense because he should roast the shit out of the Cavs.
Simply treat it as you would last year when Irving was out for the last month of the season.
Yeah.
And Rozier's price point got up to starter level.
Yeah, he's a point per minute guy.
Like, if you want to talk about Rozier is priced like he's starting for the Boston Celtics. And that's what it is. Can he get there at 67? Sure. But just because Irving's out does not make him an excellent play. Like, the price has always factored into it, obviously.
Yeah.
But some people, like you said, some people have the blinders on where it's, okay, Irving's out, immediately go to Rozier.
Yeah.
Yeah, not when he's
not 4K
here.
anymore.
No.
Look, he looks good. There's not a lot of value.
I mean, he is
squeezed
good.
out
He's
of that.
Player.
That's the problem. There's not as much value as you think there is to squeeze out of that price tag. But I mean, I have 5 guys on the Celtics on DraftKings projected for between 30 and 34 points. Like, good luck figuring out which one's the one that has like the outlier day. Everyone on the Cavs sucks. 1 to 5, so like everybody's got a good matchup.
Right. I think Morris is probably your best value on this team. He's definitely sees an uptick in production and efficiency when Kyrie Irving's off the floor.
I'll take Jaylen Brown. $500 cheaper than Morris today. $4,900.
I mean,
not that I disagree with you. I like all of these dudes. 1 to 6 for me.
Jaylen Brown's fine.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown, Marcus Morris. Either of them are fine with me.
I'm in for. I don't have a problem taking Smart. These Cavs are going to cough the ball up constantly.
I will say, though, I do think there should be a conversation about how many of these Celtics to play in the same lineup, because while all of them can have good games, I think it's really difficult to see, 3 or more of them get to really good games. Like, if you're playing Morris, Brown, and Horford, or Tatum, Brown, and Horford in the same lineup, do you see them all getting there? Whereas in tournaments, it makes sense. It might, but ball gets spread around a lot on this team.
Yeah. I think, 2 is probably like what I'd be shooting for. If I got 3, there's probably a decent combination, but like it all depends on many lineups.
Definitely limiting it. Definitely limiting it at 3.
Look, much like I said, I have a real nice concentration of fantasy points here. It wouldn't shock me if they all ended up there as well, and they just simply beat them out of the fact that they have more talent 1 to 9 than, I don't know, the Cavs are even remotely close to. Like, if they got Zion right now, he's probably the best player on the Cavs.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that's a stretch.
No. So I don't know. Feel free to play what you need. It's not a great spot for Boston from a pace perspective, but defensively, the Cavs are terrible. So don't feel bad about playing really anybody that you think plays 25 plus minutes. And depending on how you feel about Gordon Hayward, I don't know what to do with him. I know what you're going to say to do with him. With Kyrie off the floor, he's been really, really good.
Debatable.
Is it? If you don't picture him as, put it this way, if you do not picture him as Gordon Hayward, he's been like a point per minute guy when Kyrie has been off.
Right. It's not really, really good. It's just better than the awful that he's been all season long. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
Like, really, really good. Like, Ed Davis is a fantasy point per minute producer. He's not really, really good.
He's been really good compared to how he's been with Kyrie on.
Right, because he's been dog shit with Kyrie Irving on.
Yeah, he's also been dog shit for the past 30 days, too.
He's not. Gordon Hayward just doesn't have it, man.
No.
You're going to, listen, now that I've said all of this, lock in the 20, 10, and 10 game, but you're gonna get some decent games from him.
Yeah.
You know, you're still gonna get some strong performances from him, but they're so few and far between at this rate. So, like, look, you wanna throw him in there, you wanna get some exposure to Hayward, sure, but, like, there's no way that I would feel okay being overweight on Hayward. I can't do it right now. And if you think that would be the play, more power to you. For me, uh, I I I just I don't the reward is not enough for loading up on a guy like Gordon Hayward for me right now.
I don't disagree. I've got a soft spot in my heart for this guy. Ownership projections just dropped. Let's grab this. Jaylen Brown, number 2 on DK. EMAC, number 1 in DK.
Fred Van.
Yeah. That dude. All right, let's get this ownership in here, and then let's get out of this game because we probably spent more time on it than we should. Well, it's a worthwhile discussion for the Celtics.
Jordan Clarkson, 5th, by the way. Alec Burks, 6th.
Pass.
I told you they were popping his value here.
Yeah.
That's crazy, though.
I understand why. Somebody's got to play. They're playing 240 minutes one way or the other. Wow. Did you see Terry Rozier's projected ownership? That'll come up. Got a crisp 2.
Oh, wow. I think it will come up, but I don't know how much.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in around like 7 or 8%. People are getting smarter. You loading up on $6,700 Rozier. How much meat's really left on the bone there?
Not a lot. Just checking to see if I think anything else stands out there. I'd like to have a little bit more than 2% Marcus Smart as well. 0 on Gordon Hayward though. Just had to bring that up.
Yeah, as it should be.
Yeah, that all looks fine. All right, let's move on. Indiana Pacers hosting the Los Angeles Lakers. 106.25 implied total for the Pacers. 109.75 for the Lakers. 3.5-point favorites for LA. We'll start on the Indiana side. One of my dogs is pissed. The other dog hopped up on the couch and just jammed himself into this little spot. He was all stretched out and shit. Anyway, Miles Turner, 7,300 on FanDuel, 6,500 on DraftKings, $22 on Yahoo. Been playing a lot of minutes. Speaking of guys that are playing a lot of minutes, the opposite of Sabonis, who has played no more than 24 in his last 5. They're giving it to Turner now, and he's been fantastic defensively all season. Nice pace up spot for Indiana. What do you think of Miles Turner here?
Yeah, I mean, well, first off, second of a back-to-back, so take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
He played 32 minutes last night. The guy's young. It shouldn't be an issue. It's just, what is Nate McMillan plan on doing with him? But I liked Turner. I liked Turner a lot last night. I liked Sabonis a lot yesterday. Sabonis goes for 35 in 23 minutes. 23 minutes in that game. And then Turner didn't kill you. What do you have, 37? Yeah. So it wasn't a bad game. But he got up 17 shots. So there was upside for a lot more there. And you know what? He's a very good shot blocker. By the way, he leads the league in blocks per game. So that kind of makes up for his less than stellar rebounding because he's not one of the best rebounding bigs in the game.
Yep.
I like Turner here for sure, though. You're getting him now. Again, how much does the back-to-back influence this? It shouldn't be that much. I mean, I wouldn't think it's that big of a deal because it's a back-to-back with both of these games. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yesterday was in New Orleans, so yeah, it's traveling back to Indiana. I don't love that, but if he's played, what I do love is he's played 31 plus minutes in 3 straight games, and that's been a thing with Turner is his minutes. We haven't seen him get above 30 all that much. If he's going to be playing 31, 32, 33 minutes every night, Miles Turner goes from a decent play to a really strong play, especially at 65 on DraftKings, even 73 on FanDuel. I like him quite a bit here, and I don't think Sabonis is the worst play either. I wish we were getting more minutes from him. It's actually like he's lost minutes recently. But
Yeah.
as a per minute guy and per minute guy with Oladipo off the court as well, he is, he's their best per minute guy. He's really, probably the most talented overall player right now on this roster from a fantasy standpoint when you get the minutes. To me, it's very frustrating that we're getting 23, 24 minutes per game from Sabonis, but
Yeah.
he is at least kind of cheap.
He and Turner, at least on FanDuel, but similar output regardless. They are both at 1.17 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days. It's really hard. We have Sabonis at 16% ownership on DK. That's the highest number of anyone on the Pacers. I have a really, really difficult time doing that.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult.
I get wanting to play him if he is low owned, but what is the dream scenario here? That Miles Turner gets hurt?
At this rate, that's kind of what we need. Yeah, that's pretty much what we need. How many minutes are they playing alongside each other per game? 6 or something?
Yeah.
Not enough.
He's played 23, 24, 20, 23, 20 in his last 5. This isn't some like, oh, well, the blowout got him here. And like, no, that's just they're settling him into like 23 to 24 minutes a game. I don't know why.
Right.
I mean, I guess I know why, because they don't want to play them together.
Right. Matter of fact, they're probably playing less than 6, probably like 3 or 4 minutes together per game when Turner's getting up over 30 minutes.
What do you think they could get for Sabonis if they tried to trade him? Because they got to trade one of these two guys at some point in time.
Yeah, because they refuse to play them together, which I do understand that. I don't know. I don't know if it's tough, because if you look at this team's success this season, especially when Oladipo was out and they kept winning games, a lot of that had to do with Sabonis and his presence off the bench. Like, if you didn't have Sabonis on this team this year, they might not be in the top 6 in the East.
Yeah.
I think that's how much of an influence he's had. He's been really good. So I don't know. I don't know what you get for him, but I think you could land a decent enough player, a decent enough pick. He's not warranting you he's not grabbing you a lottery pick, but I think who knows? Maybe it's so hard to predict what you're going to see with basketball trades nowadays. You have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're right. Eventually you're going to have to do something, because playing him for 23 minutes per game seems like such a waste. But yeah, I actually like this game now. I like the Pacers here. And that's not something I usually don't. 216 total in this game, but if there's one thing we know is the Pacers get a very, very nice pace up spot here. Like, really nice. The Lakers, play it at one of the fastest paces in basketball. You have LeBron James, who right now is probable, after sitting out a game for rest. But Lakers top 4 pace team in the league. The way I see it is, while some of these Pacers price tags are coming up, and with Oladipo out, that has been the case. Darren Collison's first game with Oladipo and Evans out back at the end of January was terrible. Of course, that was the one I really liked him in, because his rates are actually really good with Oladipo off the court and with Evans. And now his last 3 games, he's looked a whole lot better, and he should look good. And he's getting shots up. Actually, he hit the dagger last night. Really nice step back shot near the baseline, right in front of the 3-point line to put away the Pelicans. And he had another 22.6 assists, 39 fantasy point game. So I don't think Collison's a crazy play here. Bogdanovich is getting big minutes and seeing around 25% usage recently, so that's not crazy. Tyreek Evans has played 16 and 19 minutes. He continues to be unbelievably inefficient as a scorer, and I don't see him really taking run away from anybody here. And then, of course, with Thaddeus Young, you know what you're getting from him. You're going to get some minutes. You're going to hope that he gets some hustle stats and doesn't kill you. But I think there are arguments to be made for a lot of these Pacers today. Maybe not priority plays outside of Turner, but definitely guys that you can work into lineups for sure.
I've been getting a lot of Thad Young lately.
Yep.
And it's never really a spot where I'm excited to be. But I anticipate being there again today.
Probably, yeah. And he's gone pretty ignored since Oladipo's been out.
Yeah.
You know? And I definitely think that helps if you're somebody that's looking to get the lower owned guys in this team. The Pacers are look, I don't love playing a bunch of them from the same lineup, but
No.
they are a good mix and match team. They're all priced at a point where you don't love it, but you can still get there.
Yeah.
You know, all in that 6K range on DraftKings, right? Turner 65, Young 61, Bogdanovich 6K, Collison 64. They're all right around there, which doesn't make them supreme value, but perfectly reasonable as well. And then do whatever you want with Corey Joseph. He's just, his ceiling is so unbelievably low that whenever I can get away from going there, I try to. And now that he's starting, you're seeing even less opportunity to rack up those counting stats.
Yeah, I'm in. I mean, I will probably have some sort of 6 Pacers in some form. Quite a bit of miles.
All in the same lineup, huh?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, just
That's
onslaught.
Are you allowed to do that?
Probably not. I don't even know what the cap is because I would never do it. So I don't even really know what the actual true rule is. 5 maybe 6. I don't know.
Imagine playing 6 Pacers tonight.
But I like Turner. I think Collison is fine. We have Collison at 5% ownership. We have Thad Young at 5, Bojan at 5, Corey Joseph at 8. I don't need much more of Corey Joseph, but I like the idea of having a lot more Darren Collison, a lot more Thad Young, some more Bojan. It's just a really good fantasy spot.
It is. Just
Big
on the
pace. Lakers
alone.
defense not great. I will take my it's Turner, Collison, Thad Young, Sabonis, all 1.0 fantasy point per minute or more guys. Pretty easy for one of them to catch.
Pretty much, yeah. And the other side of this game is it's a little bit different because with LeBron back, what do we get from Rondo? I actually still think Rondo's fine. I just don't like him as much. He had 44 fantasy points in that overtime game against the Clippers, and then followed it up with 40 points against the Golden State Warriors. In that, well, LeBron was out in that game, but LeBron in the one game that he returned for, Rajon Rondo definitely was not pushed out of it. Rondo was still very heavily involved, and I thought that was good to see. Rondo in that game actually shot the ball 14 times, had 7 assists, 13 rebounds. He's the guy that gets those peripherals to where you feel pretty decent about rostering him. Pacers are a pretty decent defensive team, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how much that affects Rondo. He's not much of a shooter. He's not a high volume guy. What are you doing with the Lakers though? Now that LeBron is probable to play.
I'll play a lot of LeBron. Probably. We're not projecting very much ownership for him on DraftKings. I assume that number will come up just because of his name. After that, a little bit of Rondo or Ingram, I think is fine. Or a little bit of Rondo, Kuzma, Ingram. I don't really care much about any of the 3 centers. Maybe Lance at 3,700 on FanDuel is a worthwhile punt, but who knows? These guys have much better prices on FanDuel than DraftKings today.
It's crazy that LeBron is $700 cheaper than Paul George on DraftKings or on FanDuel. Yeah. Crazy.
And I'm going to go to LeBron in those cases.
Yeah, why would you not? I mean, he played 35 minutes in regulation, 40 minutes total against the Clippers. It's not like he's not okay. He's all right. He's fine. But really, aside from that, aside from LeBron and I do still think Rondo is a reasonable play. Aside from that, what are you really getting to? Zubats is probable, so and Tyson Chandler right now is actually, it looks like he's probably expected to play too. So you're not getting big JaVale McGee minutes.
No.
I don't really have any interest in getting to, say, Brandon Ingram here, even if Kuzma's out, but Kuzma's probable. So now with LeBron back, those guys become a whole lot less enticing, especially now that Rondo's also healthy. For me, it'd be Rondo and LeBron, and outside of that, I'm probably good.
That's fine. We should probably go back and talk about the Pacers a little bit more. Conscious Machine 413 in the YouTube chat says, "You guys are duping people into Pacers." All caps, by the way. They are on back-to-back, you bums.
I literally said that before we even started talking about the Pacers.
Yeah.
But okay, sweet. The first words out of my mouth were, "Yeah, Miles Turner's on a back-to-back," and then actually went further along to say that they're traveling from New Orleans back to Indiana. Maybe that was a different show, but I think I said that.
Yeah. That's just
I know I said that.
I don't just draw lines through teams because they played a game yesterday. In all of my research for back-to-backs, the only one that was relevant to me was an away back-to-back in terms of performance. If you want to adjust people's minutes because you think they play less, that is a different component. But from a simple how they produce on the floor standpoint, away was the only one that mattered.
You don't just say never touch these guys because they're playing a back-to-back. Miles Turner, his last few back-to-backs, 39 DraftKings points, 38, 42, 35, 46, 33. That's not bad at all.
No.
39, 38, 42, 35, 46, 33.
Like, keep an eye on it, but it's...
Well, that's why we mentioned it at the top of the game.
Yes, it is.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Can't please everyone.
No, certainly can't. And, I like pointing out the slop that comes up in the YouTube chat from time to time.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. Let's move on to a barn burner of a 7:30 game. The New York Knicks, whoever the hell that may be, hosting the Pistons. 101.5 implied total for the Knicks. 105 for the Pistons. I took a shot at this Knicks rotation. Some of it's relatively easy. There are a couple guys where I don't really know what they're going to do, so we might have to dig into that. It might also just not matter because most of these guys suck. DeAndre Jordan is 7,700 on FanDuel, 6,200 on DraftKings, getting 13% ownership right now on DK. I don't have much of an issue playing DeAndre Jordan. Do you?
No, I mean, you would think. Watch he goes the way of Enes Kanter and just doesn't play. No, he's going to get minutes. He got 29 minutes, I think, in the first game. I think DeAndre Jordan's perfectly reasonable here. 6,200 going up against a big Detroit front court. That is what you're looking for here. So
we got some news. Kyle Lowry in today.
Well, hey, at least we got it.
Okay. Just wanted to get that in there. Sorry.
I think DeAndre Jordan at this price point is perfectly reasonable, man. And he's going to get the minutes, or you would at least hope that he does, against DeAndre Jordan. So that's all.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Mitchell Robinson is back. I assume that Mitchell Robinson plays every minute at center that DeAndre Jordan does not. I think that's probably a safe bet at this point. Could be wrong, but he seems to be.
Say that again? Sorry, what'd you say?
I have Mitchell Robinson in for 18 minutes every minute that DeAndre Jordan doesn't play. I can't imagine anybody else playing center for the Knicks today. Which puts Vonleh at the 4 specifically.
Yeah. What do you see Cornette getting here?
So that's the question. Do you think that Luke Cornette plays more minutes at the 4 or Mario Hezonja? I gave Cornette 18 minutes and Hezonja got a leftover 4 that I couldn't figure out who to give to. But that's the point that I don't really know. I gave Vonleh 26, and at that point I needed to fill out the rest of the 4, which was basically Luke Cornette or Mario Hezonja. I lean to the side of Cornette since he's at least a future piece for them. I don't know what else they would be doing unless they really think that Hezonja can make them lose more.
It's tough for me with Hezonja because Fizdale has been all over the place with him. Cornette's actually gotten pretty consistent minutes when he's played, but I'll be honest with you. It doesn't, to me, it doesn't really even matter.
No, that
Like
I agree with.
We could speculate all day, but no matter how many minutes Mitchell Robinson gets, no matter how many minutes Noah Vonleh, well, no, not Noah Vonleh, but even so, I'm not really heavy on Noah Vonleh or on Hezonja or Cornette, whatever type of minutes they get. To me, it doesn't make much of a difference because I'm not going to be playing those guys.
I agree. The guys that I would want to keep a close eye on if you can sort of figure out the rotation. Alonzo Trier on FanDuel is 4K. Figuring out how many minutes you think he plays, I think, is relevant. Dennis Smith Jr. is still 5,700 on DraftKings. He's getting some ownership as well. I have no problem playing him. Kevin Knox seems to be, I don't want to say matchup proof because that's not the way that I mean it, but he seems to be the one guy that's going to get a lot of minutes no matter what. After that,
God,
I don't know what else to do. Like, I've got Wes Matthews in for 28 minutes. That's probably worth a look, but who knows?
Yeah, he played 28 minutes last game,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I guess why not give him 28 minutes here? So that last game against Memphis, the Grizzlies were up pretty much most of all of the second half, actually, and it wasn't necessarily blowout numbers in the second half. We still saw Knox, Dennis Smith, and Jordan close the game out, along with Wes Matthews, who played actually. Wes Matthews played 16 straight minutes to close out the game. Hezonja played 15 straight minutes to close out the game. Those guys, to me, though, if you said, would you rather have Matthews or Hezonja? I'd rather have Matthews, but I don't have much interest in Matthews whatsoever. Even though he's cheap, I have a tough time getting there. And then with Dennis Smith Jr., I mean, this is what's difficult for me because he played 25, 26 minutes last game, right? But 26 minutes.
Yeah.
But he had 2 personal fouls in the first 3 minutes of the game. So he only played 3 minutes in the first quarter. That's interesting to me. He had, and then he played 8.5 minutes in the second, but then he plays only 4 minutes in the third quarter with no personal fouls, and then 9.5 minutes to close out the game.
I hate this team. You want to talk about the Pistons?
Yeah, please. I will just to throw it out there. I do actually think Dennis Smith Jr. is a decent tournament play.
Yeah.
Could we see his minutes get up? Yes, I think we can. Like Kadeem Allen played 20 minutes. Chur played 15. There's no reason that Dennis Smith Jr. should only be playing 25, 26 minutes. I think it's possible that he plays 30 minutes or more in this game. Do I feel confident in it? No, but if he does, put it this way, if he does, he's competing with like nobody for assists and even for ample scoring opportunity. That is one thing that he has working for him.
I will probably avoid Smith if he's chalk. Drop a couple little breadcrumbs onto like Kevin Knox or Vonleh, but otherwise I'd rather just not be anywhere near this Knicks team. I think we have 3 guys to talk about for the Pistons. You have a preference between Blake and Andre Drummond. Andre now $100 more expensive on FanDuel, $500 cheaper on DraftKings, and $9 cheaper on Yahoo.
Drummond at 8,300 on DraftKings to me is still a very solid play. What's he, 93 on FanDuel, Blake 92. Different positions there though, so it's a bit of a different discussion. Drummond right now too on DraftKings, we have him at what, 12% projected ownership. I think that's about right. I'd probably come in a little bit higher than that, but I do like Drummond here. You've got DeAndre Jordan now, of course, instead of for Luke Cornett or Enes Kanter, which changes things a little bit, but hardly a concern.
Yeah,
I see a price point like this for a guy like Drummond, knowing that the 2020 upside is real every time he's on the court. And 8,300 on DraftKings to me is just way too friendly.
Went a little ham yesterday too.
Yeah, he's good.
Yeah, they're both in like the 12 to 14% range on DK. I don't have a single issue coming in above that number on either guy. And then Reggie Jackson, I think, is continuing to go mildly overlooked on DraftKings. 5,500, you can save the 7K price tag on FanDuel. I don't need that shit at all. But I'll play him at 5,500 on DK. I think that's nice.
Yeah, why not? This is someone I've had interest in. God, I'll going back to last week, because the minutes had been there. He'd been seeing significantly more minutes, which I was pretty encouraged by. You look at last game, the blowout. I mean, they actually blew out the Denver Nuggets. But Reggie Jackson played only, what was it, 11, 10, so what's 15, 16 minutes in the first half. And then 7 minutes in the third and just never came back. So there was 17 minutes there where he never returned to the game. 22 minutes is still a little bit weird. And now that Ish Smith is back, I don't think you get those same minutes from Reggie Jackson. So I'm lower on him than I normally would have been if Ish Smith was out. I think that had a lot to do with him getting those minutes. So that's something I'm not particularly big on there. And by the way, Drummond is playing second of a back-to-back, but keep in mind he came out 10 minutes into the third quarter, never came back, played only 26 minutes. So it's not like he went out and played 35 minutes last night. This is also, Detroit to New York, not cross country. You're still traveling, but I'm not super concerned about that either. 26 minutes last night is not that bad.
No, not at all. Does kind of make me want to walk back Reggie Jackson's minutes a little bit here. Let's try that on for size. Yeah, that'll work. Let's move on. And we're at the halfway point. So with an hour in, so I think we're making the right sort of time.
We're actually doing pretty good.
Yeah, I can't complain. I don't want to complain. I want to do this show for 5 hours. Hit that like button, everybody. Now that we're hitting the midway point. NBA Strategy, again, the promo code for 50% off. We've got, 476 of you in here? That should be 476 active likes, in my opinion. All right, let's just get through this one pretty quick. The Memphis Grizzlies hosting the Minnesota Timberwolves. 102.25 implied total for the Grizz. 101.25 for the Wolves. 1 point favorites for Memphis. This is a very, very, very unappealing fantasy game. About as unappealing as it gets. Doesn't mean that there aren't good plays here. Doesn't mean that I don't like guys here. There's just not a lot of wiggle room. There's not a lot to like.
Yeah, no, not. Okay, so let me ask you this. Do you see this game going over or under the total?
I'm the wrong guy to ask that.
I see the total.
I see them scoring 203.5 points.
Right. 203 total in 2019. That's saying something.
Yeah. And what's really crazy, there's not a lot of good guys on here, but like Conley, Gasol, and Towns are like, 2 of the top 30 or 3 of the top 30 basketball players on the planet?
Yeah. Look, I actually don't dislike this game in a vacuum as much as maybe you do, but when I start looking at the salaries, like if Conley's up above 8K on DraftKings. Now, he has warranted that. Like he's 9K on FanDuel. He has played really well. I'm not denying how well Mike Conley has played. I mean, he's jumped in the time machine, man. Mike Conley looks really good. Does he have a limited ceiling? Yes, I think we'd all agree there that you get your high 40s, low 50s from Conley, and you're very happy.
Yeah.
Not expecting him to drop a 60 plus. Again, it shall happen tonight, I'm sure. But I don't mind the matchup for Memphis, and I just don't like anything. I don't like the spot for Minnesota. And is that to say that Karl Anthony Towns can have a good game? No, but and by the way, he is 9,700 on DraftKings. His price point has come down significantly.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
Yeah, it was tough. I don't know.
I guess this
He had
game.
he had that awful game against Memphis, but he was 10-6 against Memphis just 5 days ago.
Yeah.
He's had some tough matchups recently too. Utah, Memphis, Denver have been his last 4 matchups. Now it's going to be Utah, Memphis, Denver, Memphis.
Where was
That's
Utah? Where were the Utah and Denver games?
Well, he faced Utah twice, so it was a home and home series.
Okay.
And the Denver game was at home.
Okay.
Memphis was at home. This one's at the Grind House.
Are you looking to play any Conley and Gasol? They're at 6% and 2% ownership respectively on DK. A little bit higher on FanDuel.
Yeah, Conley or Gasol at 7,700, I think is still pretty reasonable.
2% ownership right now.
If you're getting Conley at 2% ownership against, a Karl Anthony Towns led front court, then I really have no issues with that at all, actually. But
I'm going to try to be a little muted on these guys, but I agree. That's just, I would rather have those guys slightly more because, well, I don't know. Marc Gasol's been at 1.07 fantasy points per minute these last 30 days, which is pretty close to the performance of one Gordon Hayward on a per minute basis when Kyrie Irving is off the floor.
How many? What did you say he's been at?
1.07 FanDuel points per minute over the last 30 days.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's not bad.
No. I'm just look. I will have more than 2% Marc Gasol.
Right.
I can say that with certainty.
And just to kind of to make this, I'm not enthusiastic about these. It's actually really hard for me to be enthusiastic about the Memphis Grizzlies.
Yeah.
When they were less expensive, yeah, that's a lot different. But right now, you're kind of getting Mike Conley towards the top of his salary range. I don't see him being, I don't see him getting much cheaper than that. Now, Garrett Temple is doubtful. Kyle Anderson has already been ruled out. JaMychal Green is questionable for this game. So there are some things that could move the foundation a bit of this slate. That's for sure. But it would probably mean you get another 37, 38 minutes out of Justin Holiday, which, okay, fair enough. We know what Justin Holiday's about. And then what do you get after that? 25 minutes out of Shelvin Mack? Like it depends on Green's status and how much Jaren Jackson's going to see of that. If Ivan Rabb or Bruno Caboclo is going to pick up some minutes there. I wish I knew, but Caboclo went from playing pretty solid run to only 17 minutes last game. I don't know what to make of this Memphis team right now because we don't know what Green's status is.
Sorry, I was too busy reading stupid YouTube conversation where I can't stand anybody. Easy stuff.
Might not want to say that during our YouTube stream, but
well, it's the guy that called us bums earlier.
Okay.
So I don't feel so bad about that one.
That's okay.
Just talk basketball, guys. We don't have to talk about fighting each other in a YouTube chat at 10:30 in the morning. Life is better than that, I promise. I'll have a little bit of Conley. I'll have a little bit of Gasol. I'll have more Jaren Jackson than most people, like I do every single day. Karl Anthony Towns at 9,700 on DraftKings is kind of weird.
It is weird. No, I mean, it definitely is. Uh, you're if you're not at least considering towns there, you're probably not doing your due diligence. And what I see so often is like, yeah, this guy only averages this many points against this team. Like for instance, someone was mentioning John Collins. John Collins here his career games against Atlanta. He has 4 of them, and then 3 of them were this season. And they were actually I don't know if he was saying they were good or bad, but given his price point, you wouldn't have been happy with 38 and 40 in everyone. But he had been in foul trouble in all 3 games this year and was averaging 1.5 fantasy points per minute against Washington in those 3 games. So even that alone on its own isn't worth all that much. But looking at how they've performed in 1 or 2 games or even a 3-game sample, it only tells you so much because you don't know what's underlying, or what's lying beneath the actual numbers. And if there was foul trouble, if there was blowouts, you got to look into all of that stuff. Like Towns played 30 or 26 minutes, got into a ton of foul trouble against Memphis last time out. Still wasn't on pace to have a huge game, but only played 26 minutes. And this guy in close games has been playing 38, 39 minutes at times. Makes a big difference to me. So at 9,700, a guy that just has such immense upside like Towns, and he does, like if you're talking about a guy that can go for 75 at 9,700, you just have to consider that. There isn't really much to it.
Yeah, he's getting 20% ownership right now, and that makes perfect sense. It's exactly what he should be getting. Andrew Wiggins getting 22% ownership on DraftKings is mildly amusing to me.
Yeah, I guess.
It doesn't shock me. I think that's like exactly where it should be. It's also Andrew Wiggins.
Andrew Wiggins is so scoring dependent. It's terrifying. Dude, I'm not a big Andrew Wiggins guy. If there's one thing that I could say about him is that he's playing huge minutes right now. But let's also not forget that while it is a pace up spot for Memphis, this is a huge pace down spot for Minnesota. Memphis plays at the slowest pace in the league by 2 possessions per 48, like well behind the Cleveland Cavaliers. Uh, Pure shooters like this in games that are going to see significantly less possessions. I mean, the last time they faced each other, this game, neither team went over 100 points. I think it had like 196 total points. Again, not saying that history always indicates or predicts the future in a spot like this, but I'd much rather have Wiggins in a game where he could get more opportunities and more possessions. By the way, we got some NBA news here. Marcus Morris will be joining Kyrie Irving on the sidelines today. Now, enter Gordon Hayward. There it is.
Oh God.
There it is.
Unbelievable. Fire
My
up your
dog's
Daniel
dreaming
Tice,
right now. My dog's dreaming right now in the bed. I can hear the yelping from all the way down the hallway.
I've got 2 of them straight ahead of me on my couch, just passed out.
Yep. I can see her legs kicking past the door. She's running in a field or something.
I'm pretty sure it's Tom in the YouTube chat right now. I think he won the day. People talking about fighting each other in the YouTube chat, and Tom was like, if you guys are interested in fighting, be sure to check out some of our MMA content. Put the link to our MMA stuff for this week. Fantastic. Well played.
Like actually talking about fighting.
Yeah.
Like actually like
yeah,
come
like
see me type stuff.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll give you my address.
Yeah,
That's
basically.
interesting.
It's just so silly.
Huh.
But yeah, Tom coming in and winning the world there. Yeah, let's just okay. Towns, Wiggins, Bayless, I think are the only 3 guys that are playable really for Minnesota.
Imagine saying Jared Bayless is playable at 4,500, 5,400. And I'm not disagreeing with you. It's just incredible to think that, as this season started, we'd be even having a conversation about Jared Bayless, let alone a $5,400 Jared Bayless against the Memphis Grizzlies. Wow.
Yeah, the Sixers might want him back. The most important piece of that trade. Oh, it turns out it was Brett. Thanks, Brett, for that fun MMA tweet or comment. Yeah, Bayless is like I've got him in for 36 minutes here. He's only getting 14% ownership. I'm comfortable being like at or a little bit higher than that number. Ton of time to soak up, but this game's rough.
Yeah, and he's been the primary distributor on this team. Like, who else is going to do it, right? I mean, really look at the rest of the players on this team. But clearly not Andrew Wiggins, not Josh Okogie. None of these guys, man. None of them. Who cares if Covington comes back? Like what? None of them. They do. Karl Anthony Towns is the second best healthy passer on this team, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah. God, this team is gross right now. Play more
I mean,
Dario Saric. I don't get it. Well, I guess it's because he sucks, but
they do have Isaiah Cannon. I probably should have mentioned that, but Isaiah Cannon is strictly just picking up, scraps from Jared Bayless. And last game where Bayless played 35 minutes, Cannon only played 4 minutes, so he's not even getting all of the backup minutes. That tells you all you need to know right there.
I'm gonna make a grilled cheese after this show. That's where my head is at this point for talking about this Minnesota garbage.
Yeah, I don't know how that equates to grilled cheese, but I do like them.
I don't know. It just hit me. I just started thinking like, oh, cool, Luol Deng's gonna play 20 minutes tonight, and I was just like, oh, I really liked grilled cheese when I was a child, and Luol Deng was good when I was a child.
Grilled cheese on potato bread, though. That's how you got to do it.
I go sourdough. I don't think you're gonna.
I'm okay with sourdough. I do like sourdough. A nice sourdough melt always does me well. I used to go. You're familiar with Wawa.
I'm very familiar with Wawa.
Well, when I went out west, I lived out in California and Arizona for a little while when I was younger. I was like, yeah, what do you guys know about Wawa?
Crickets.
What's a Wawa?
Yeah.
No one had any idea what it was, but they got the Wawa, the gobbler, the turkey gobbler during the Thanksgiving season, right? During the holiday season. And I play hockey on Wednesdays every Wednesday night on my way home. I gobbler or Wawa Wednesday. Come on, I grab myself a gobbler, eat it on the drive home. Generally clean out my Jeep Cherokee the next day because I spilled shit in it. With really bad decision.
Yeah.
And now they don't have it anymore because they get rid of it. It should not be seasonal. This should be a 365-day ordeal because it's the best meal that they have.
I don't know why we only eat turkey for like 5 days a year.
Tell them I wish hot turkey at least. Yeah, I wish I could tell you. But the gobbler's it's basically like take leftovers and just mash them all into a roll.
Yeah.
Stuffing, gravy, cranberry sauce, turkey. It's phenomenal. Really, it's amazing. But they don't have it anymore. So I was like, fine, I'll try something else. Because it was that or Burger King, and Burger King's gross. And I got the sourdough melts. Try a Wawa sourdough melt next time you get a chance. You got them down in Carolina? You got Wawas down there?
The closest Sheets to me is like an hour and a half.
Oh, Sheets. Oh, yeah.
Is that how you feel? Are you that?
Am I a Wawa purist?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily. I really only like a couple things there, but I prefer it more than Sheets. Just the name Sheets. It sounds too much like shits. And it's a turnoff.
I get it. I've never had a problem. I love the two equally. Wawa tends to be a higher end quick food. So Sheets is, I think, a better spot to be if you're drinking.
I mean, it's better. Anything's better than the 7-Eleven Go-Go taquitos,
Sure.
That have been sitting on that rack, on that roller for 14 hours. And you say, how long they been there? He's like, no, they're fresh. They're fresh. They're not ever fresh.
No, they're not.
Ever. So I'd rather go to Sheets.
We had a Sheets like a mile outside of town at Kutztown. So that was 2 hot dogs for $1. Was an incredible bargain as a college kid. Go get four dogs,
sure,
a couple beers.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I love them both. But yeah, no Wawa down here. They're not even close. And Sheets, to my knowledge, the closest Sheets is like in the just outside the Raleigh area. And it's not like I'm going there just to get buffalo chicken sandwich or something.
Are you in a rural area?
No. There's 150,000 people here. Something like that.
And you don't have like any?
Mm-mm. We got a Sonic,
That's hot.
but not the same thing. Yeah,
Sonic.
no. For some reason, I assume there's a reason there's not a Wawa or not a Sheetz in Wilmington. I don't know what that would be, but we
Oh,
don't
do you
have
live
it.
in Wilmington?
I do.
I didn't know you lived in Wilmington.
Yeah,
Okay,
Wilmington
yeah.
proper. I mean, I live in like, the burbs of Wilmington, but everything's sort of the burbs. It's a
Right.
weird city in that it doesn't look like a city pretty much anywhere.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the areas down there
It's all like low
don't really
skyline
look
type
like
shit.
cities. Yeah, it doesn't look like Philly or New York City.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
It barely like it doesn't look like Allentown, and that would be the closest comp from like a population standpoint.
Right.
Um.
That makes sense.
All right, let's move on. 3 games to go. We're at an hour.
Let me just ask you
minutes.
quickly with
Hit me.
Memphis.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any lean towards Jermichael Green?
I have him
Playing
in
or
right
not?
now for 13 minutes. I don't really know what to do with the whole Green, Rob, Noah
Yeah.
trio, and I'd rather
The
just ignore them
Buffaloes-
all until I actually have information. I mean, Jermichael Green's 4,400 on DraftKings, so you can safely ignore him regardless.
Oh, easily. I'm just, my thing is, 20 minutes one game, then 9 minutes the next game, and he picked an injury up against the Knicks, and is that what forced him out? Like, I don't know. It's been so weird with the injuries that I don't know if he had only been playing 5-7 minutes because he just wasn't healthy, and then he played 20, and then he got hurt again. If he plays, are we getting 20 minutes from Green, or are we getting 5? So you could safely ignore him as a fantasy option, no question. Just odd to see what type of influence he could have on the rotation if he's in or out.
Yeah. By the way, not that we need to go any further. I just saw your DM.
Yeah. So close, man. I caught myself.
Oklahoma City Thunder hosting the Orlando Magic. 116.5 implied total for the Thunder. 107 for the Magic. We'll start on the OKC side. Not that great of a spot. Magic defense has been really solid lately. It's a bit of a pace down, for Oklahoma City. Russell Westbrook, 12K on FanDuel. Paul George, 11.5. On DK, it's 11.4 and 10.2. 53 and 50 on Yahoo. 1, do you have a preference between the two? And 2, how much do you just like them in general?
Well, for one, Paul George just keeps playing phenomenal basketball, and until that stops, which I don't think it will, I'm going to keep playing him. He's scoring at a ridiculous clip, just unbelievable. He's got 30+ real points in 7 of his last 8 games, 36 or more points in 5 of his last 6. He's just been automatic lately. I love what I'm seeing from him. What's interesting about Westbrook is he is deferring more, and he's still racking up, healthy triple doubles. But the point totals with Westbrook are something to consider here. Is there an argument that I wouldn't make an argument that his ceiling is lower, because there's still going to be those games where Westbrook goes out and gets to the rack and puts up 30 points. But I really believe that those are going to be way fewer and far between going forward, Josh. And that, to me, is something we at least need to consider. I think the days of Westbrook, once every couple of weeks dropping the 75, 80 fantasy point game are probably in the rear view, at least for now. And really, his value on DraftKings right now is just a lot better than it is on other sites, because that triple double bonus, given his lack of scoring, is so important. The half point turnover, so important. Even the double bonus, all of those things are really playing into making him still relevant on DraftKings. But where you don't get any triple double bonus, where you lose a full point for turnovers, Westbrook's becoming tougher to play. That's my opinion.
I don't disagree. He's at 20% ownership on FanDuel. Paul George is at 8. It's 19 and 7 on DraftKings. I mean, I'm starting to like Paul George and LeBron if they're going to be super low owned, which makes it really easy to get away from Russ here.
Yep. It's not hard.
I'd much rather have Paul George and LeBron James compared to chalk Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, if Westbrook was like 10-5,
Yeah.
then I think we'd be having a totally different conversation.
Yep.
Uh, and also, somebody, I think someone tweeted me saying like, Russell Westbrook is out of consideration until further notice because he's, because George is taking over as the primary guy here. But that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Westbrook is still averaging a triple double on the season. Like even despite everything George has done, Westbrook has triple doubled now in 7 or 6 straight games. Like he's still putting up numbers, man. Like, don't discredit this guy. The numbers are still there. He's still seeing 36, 37, 37, 37, 38 minutes. Uh, he's still shooting upwards of 20 times in games. So it's like, let's not act like Russell Westbrook isn't good anymore. I just think he's more valuable on DraftKings because I think you're going to see more of these games with, say, 15 points, 11 rebounds, 14 assists, which throw the triple double bonus in there. Take only a half point off for turnovers. That's a far more appealing game than it is on FanDuel where you're not getting that. That's all I'm saying. I like both of them here, but I agree when you're talking about ownership, then it's different. And now that Kyle Lowry's in, I don't think we don't have an update for Kyle Lowry being in yet, but Fred VanVleet now goes from being the most popular play to what, like 2% owned
Yeah.
or less. So that's a point guard spot that's not going to be occupied by Fred VanVleet. Wouldn't be surprised to see Russell Westbrook's ownership actually increase as a result.
Um. Well, it also makes it a little bit harder to get to him than from a value perspective. So
Yeah,
I see both sides
people
of it.
you could 100% make that argument, but I found that people do their best to work guys in, and they will pretty much play whatever it takes a lot of times to get somebody like Westbrook in their lineups. But no, you could be right. It could definitely go either way. Uh, but now the guard position, you take someone who was the best value player on the slate and remove him, right? So it could mean that now Westbrook pops up more because that position isn't occupied by VanVleet, or it's tougher to get to him. Could definitely be one or the other.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't move at all.
Ultimately, when push comes to shove, I'd just rather have a lot more Paul George, and I have no idea why Russell Westbrook is gonna get significantly more ownership.
Yeah, just keep playing Paul George, man.
Yeah.
He's and the big thing about that too is like not only is Paul George averaging career highs in like every category and all and most of these rates that we reference all the time, but he's also playing 38 40 minutes a game, which is just insane. So the playing time is a huge factor as well.
Yeah. If I have some Adams, I'm cool with it. If I have some Schroeder, I'm cool with it. Nobody that I need to really jam in. Orlando, big time pace up spot. Thunder defense, not great from a fantasy perspective lately.
No, well, because the pace of play is insane.
Vooch is 10K on FanDuel, 9,600 on DraftKings. I don't need to go crazy here, but I think he looks okay.
Who is that?
Vooch.
Vooch, yeah.
It's just, not a great spot. Adams, really good. I don't get the sense that Vooch is just going to roast Adams, so I don't need to go crazy there. Aaron Gordon, though, 6,600 on FanDuel.
That ownership.
6,200 on DraftKings. Yeah, 25%. Here I was thinking that I could
surprised
get
to see
him
that.
in be a little over the field. Not so fast. Now I feel like I don't know what to do here. What do you think here?
This is a very favorable spot for Gordon. Pace up spots for these high energy guys like Gordon generally benefits them, and I like him here. I do. I would have liked. I liked him before we talked about any of the, just taking a cursory look at the slate before ownership dropped. I'm like, oh man, Aaron Gordon, 6,200. That's nice. Uh, he's volatile. There's no question. We know that. Gordon can play 35, 40 minutes and have 22 fantasy points. There are times where he just Houdinis and disappears, but he's also getting huge minutes. 39, 40, 38, 38. By the way, our ownership has just been updated with Lowry
Ooh,
in. So
nice.
let's see what we got here.
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown
Shout
at
out,
the
Tom.
top. Yeah, appreciate that, Tom. Aaron Gordon has not moved. It came down to 23%, but still the second highest. Simmons and Embiid come up. Wiggins at wow. Yeah, I can assure you Wiggins will be lower on my list if he's going to be 21% owned.
Yeah, Jaylen Brown. Whew.
Bayless all the way up there at 16% too.
Appreciate the update, Tom. That's huge for us.
It is huge.
Projections are updated as well. I've updated for Lowry and updated for Morris. So
Russell
multitaskers.
Westbrook came down a few percent, but relative to the field, he's pretty much exactly where he was.
Yeah.
So,
look, I'm not gonna be able to get fully away from Aaron Gordon, but I don't need to jam him in if he is chalky. Only other guy would be Terrence Ross.
Yeah, pretty much. And Ross has actually been pretty damn good. The big thing about Ross is who do we have active for this game? If I would like to see Jonathan Simmons out. Does it make a huge difference? No, but I'll take what I can get when you're paying, not a premium for Ross, but you're definitely paying a decent price. I will say though, another spot where I like Ross, give me pace up spots where you see where there's more possessions to go around because he's just a chucker. And when you have guys that you need them to shoot, he is one of those guys where I'd like to see a pace up spot. And this is one. I don't think Ross is a terrible play. The furthest thing from a priority at that price point. But no, I don't have an issue with Ross.
Sorry, I took a big swig of coffee there. Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. If I have a little bit of Ross, a little bit of Fournier, a little bit of Isaac, I'm cool with it. The only guys that I would really try to prioritize are Vooch and Gordon, and that seems to be following the public.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know how much Vooch I'm going to land on here. Just really good, but the biggest thing is, and I know that both of these centers have tough matchups. I probably still get to Towns at just $100 difference on DraftKings.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
At least more frequently.
I don't disagree at all. All right, moving
and it's
on.
Not like Embiid's that much more expensive either.
Speaking of,
yeah,
Philadelphia 76ers are hosting the Toronto Raptors, and I assume this line is going to move a bit. Nothing crazy, but
4.5 still.
Is that what it is now?
It was when I saw it.
It's 3 now.
2.5. I'm seeing in some spots. Yeah, 4.5. I didn't understand that.
How so?
I mean, the Sixers are a good team, but 4.5 doesn't make sense. That means if 4.5, that means they'd basically be favored in Toronto.
Without Kyle Lowry, I don't think it's terribly shocking.
Yeah, I guess not. Kawhi Leonard to me makes a significantly bigger difference. Kawhi Leonard makes it to me just such a big difference compared to Kyle Lowry.
116 implied total for the Sixers, 113 for the Raps. Scary DFS game, but nice little pace spot. And both teams want to win. You should expect to get the full allotment of run from the studs. So, Embiid, Simmons, Butler. Let's talk about how much you like these guys and your priorities.
Sure. So, by the way, if you're looking at home court advantage, they talk about from a betting standpoint. In football, I think it's like 2.5, 3 points.
Yep.
Basketball, it's like 2 1/3 points or something like that.
Yeah.
So, like, basically, this game would be a pick'em if it were in Toronto, even with Lowry healthy. To me, that I still think Toronto's a better overall team than Philadelphia, but
no, the Raptors would be like 3-point favorites.
What do you have
Toronto.
the line at?
It's 3. They played on a neutral court, it would be like nothing. It would be like 3.
Oh, sure. Right. Right.
Yeah.
So What did you have, Matt?
The line right now is 3, so I would say that it would
3.
be basically -3 for the Raptors if we're in Toronto, and essentially coin
-2.
flip on a we're, whatever we want to set that at. It's
Sure.
basically just it's a coin flip game on a neutral court.
Yeah, I'd say that that's fair enough. Yeah, I guess Toronto, man, they've had their number, and I think the biggest thing with Toronto, and this is fantasy relevant here. The biggest thing with Toronto, uh, the advantage that they have over Philly is that Philly they don't have the bench depth,
No.
and it kills them against good teams that do. I'm not saying that Toronto has the sickest bench, but they do have enough guys that are capable of giving their starters a rest, and at least keeping the game close enough, or maintaining that lead and not letting it whittle down to nothing like we see so often with the Sixers.
Yeah.
But
When you
with
get DeLon Wright and Fred VanVleet, Norm Powell, OG Anunoby, and let's just say Siakam or Ibaka or whatever, whoever's not starting, if one of them's not starting, that's a lot different than Shake Milton and Jonah Bolden and Landry Shamet. Like it's
Yeah,
not
and
the same thing.
let's not forget about Valanciunas either when he's healthy. That's a huge piece off the bench, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Joval earlier this season, the reason they beat Philly was because Joval had like 30 real points in 18 minutes or something. Imagine having that instant offense, because maybe I get it. Joval's not your best player, but Joval can get buckets, man, especially around the rim. Like, he's your backup center playing 18 minutes per game. That's a
Perfect.
luxury. That's
Yep.
a big time luxury compared to like Amir Johnson and Mike Muscala. That's a big, big luxury.
That might not be a luxury at 18 million a year, but it's a luxury on the court.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. We're just forget about contracts here.
Yeah.
In terms of actual playing basketball and helping the team, yeah, Joval is. I mean, he's definitely one of the best backup centers in the league. Might
Yeah.
be the best backup center in the league.
What do you want to do
But
with your boys from Philly today?
Simmons at 8,600.
Mm-hmm.
There's Simmons has struggled with turnovers against Toronto because they play him really well, and they know that because he is not exactly prone to stepping back and jacking up shots above the break, that there are ways to play him, and the Raptors have made it difficult for him uh, to actually move the ball, to kick it out, and I mean, he has the first game against Toronto, he had 7 turnovers. Don't include, or sorry, the first game against Toronto, he had 11 turnovers. The second one, he had 7. Last one, he had only 1. But let's not even talk about that because because Kawhi Leonard was out. They were missing Serge Ibaka as well. Like, this team was significantly shorthanded in this game. It's been an issue when you have good defenders on the floor, and a good overall defense that can seal things off and keep him from getting into the paint. And if he does get into the paint, they kind of just trap him there. I still think 8,600 is too cheap. I do, because Ben Simmons, he still has triple double upside. He's still going to play, upwards of 40 minutes. I would not be surprised if he played 42 minutes in regulation against Sacramento, 38 against Golden State. It's the best game he's had as a pro. Not from a statistical standpoint, but just overall. He's looked so much better lately. He's scoring more points. To me, 8,600, there's so much room for upside there that it's difficult for me to overlook. 8,600 is pretty crazy.
He's the guy I like the most here for sure.
Yeah, and reasonably so. And he is going to have ownership, so we should probably point that out. But still,
24% on DK right now. So I like those guys at that number. I'd have to look across salaries to see if if it's easy to get off of that, but I would go Simmons, Embiid, and then Butler as my favorite 3.
What's interesting is he's at 23 on DraftKings and still at 21 on FanDuel, despite the $9,700 price tag.
Yeah, that's point guard
But I
for
still
you.
like him. What are you doing with Embiid? Oh, go ahead.
No, not prioritizing him. It's a tough sell. I don't hate it. I mean, he's fine. He's going to play every minute that he possibly can in this one. If I get, 20% of Embiid, I'm probably okay with it.
I think the Raptors can make his life kind of tough.
Sure.
But I mean, the shot volume is just so ridiculous that it might not matter. His rebounding is ridiculous. The concern here is that right now, well, okay, that came down. We have him at 16% on FanDuel. On DraftKings, we have him at 21%. That's surprising to me.
Who would you rather have, Embiid, Towns, or Andre Drummond at center tonight?
Embiid and Towns both have difficult matchups, man.
Yeah.
And they're both really, really great players, so a lot of times that doesn't matter. On DraftKings, I would probably take the $800 savings on Towns, but I also think he has a lower floor than Embiid.
Okay.
Actually, I know he does. I know he does. It's very rare that Embiid just totally ruins your night, right?
Sure.
Very rare.
Yeah, Simmons is the guy for me. Any Embiid that I get is fine. I don't really know what these Sixers are doing with their rotation, but I don't really see anybody else as viable. If you want to go to Redick, knock yourselves out, but that's not really for me.
No, I'm good.
Toronto. Kawhi is 9,800 on FanDuel, 9,300 on DraftKings, $45 on Yahoo. Only 11% ownership on DK. Where is all the ownership going for these small forward guys? Not on Kawhi, really. It's not on LeBron. It's not on Paul George.
On DraftKings or FanDuel?
DK.
So, right, Jaylen Brown and Aaron Gordon and Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
They're all power forward eligible. And Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah. I'm finding it a lot easier to go to Kawhi, PG, and LeBron over some of the chocolates out there right now.
Yeah. I mean,
I know
I do
how
like
you feel
Aaron
about
Gordon
Kawhi.
and Ben Simmons.
These are the types of games where I really like to have Kawhi. The game where he cares the most, it should be the best game, and he can conceivably play 38 minutes. He gets involved everywhere, looks to do the most. Like I'm not crazy about any part of it, but I'll have some Kawhi if he's only at 11.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate it.
Yeah, and then Kyle
I just
Lowry.
don't usually have a lot to say about. I generally don't have much to say about Kawhi Leonard.
Sure.
I don't think he's egregiously overpriced. I mean, he's 1,700 less expensive than Paul George on FanDuel, so there's that.
Yeah.
He's 9,300 on DraftKings. It's all perfectly reasonable, but I just generally don't end up on him that much. That's all.
Yeah, I understand.
And on the other side of this, when this team's healthy, it's a little bit difficult. I actually don't hate Serge Ibaka here. I think Ibaka plays a lot of minutes in this game. I expect him to see upwards of 33 minutes. If that's the case, then I'd be pretty interested because, mind you, Joe Val's still doubtful to play. Aside from that, I mean, unless you're rolling the dice on a Danny Green or Van Vliet, now that no one's playing, I don't really have any interest in Van Vliet. No. The only other player here is Kyle Lowry, and he just listen, man. With Kawhi on the floor, it's
bad.
It's a shit show.
Yeah, they're good as a team. He is not good from a fantasy perspective.
I mean, Lowry does not hurt the team when he's on the court. Of course not. But he doesn't help you from a fantasy standpoint either. And I kind of just, in the grand scheme of things, looking at this on an 8-game slate, how necessary is it to get there? Even though Lowry is not that expensive, he should probably be cheaper.
He really should.
At least on FanDuel.
That's the craziest part of it all. He probably should. I will not have much, if any, of Kyle Lowry.
I don't think you need to. Fun game to watch, but there's not a ton here that I love. Although this game does have a 229.5 total, which is pretty nice. Like,
yeah, that's the part that's getting me a little closer to Kawhi.
Right. Points
lower
per
than all of those
scored.
other guys, massive total, and the minutes are as steady as they possibly can be here, barring injury.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Points are going to be scored.
Yeah,
My favorite play from the game overall, though, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know, is going to be Ben Simmons.
same. Let's close it out.
Let's do it.
Man, I'm really excited to watch that game. I'm happy that it's at 8.
That's a fun game.
Yeah.
There aren't that many good ones either. Like Boston, Cleveland, ugh. Charlotte, Clippers. I guess it could be okay. Pacers, Indiana, Detroit, Knicks, Minnesota, Memphis,
It's all
OKC,
garbage.
Orlando.
Like Blazers Heat is a good game in like a basketball sense. The teams are, well coached. There's quality. It's not a great fantasy game to watch.
No, absolutely not.
But I mean, it's not as if the Heat aren't an incredibly well coached team.
Eric Spoelstra drives me nuts, man. I gotta tell you,
I don't disagree.
it's crazy. Like I'd get it if Bam Adebayo was just having monster games, and I get it that Bam is a solid defensive player. He's definitely does a decent job of anchoring that bench unit when he's out there defensively and in the paint. But I mean, it feels like such a waste when it comes to Hassan Whiteside, man. It's such a waste. And then he plays. I got lucky on him a couple of weeks ago. We played 32 minutes or on the 23rd and had that huge game against the Clippers. But then, I've gotten pretty unlucky on him a few times as well. Like I had him in that 15-minute game against Chicago. Uh, it's just crazy because on a per minute basis, he is so good. Like he is so good. He's averaging 1.4 fantasy points per minute on the season. And it's so frustrating to see him play 20, 22 minutes per game and then play 31 out of nowhere.
I hate these. I hate this. I just hate everything about the Heat.
Yeah.
Let's start on the Blazers side.
Please.
Lillard, 12% ownership, 8,900 on DK. Feels nice. Nurkic is questionable, I believe. Double check that. He is not listed on the injury report, so never mind. I'm not going to worry about him then for right now. I don't mind if I have some Nurk. Don't mind if I have some Dame, clearly. Otherwise, I'm good on Portland. We'll see how many minutes Rodney Hood gets and how that affects the rest of the team. Shouldn't matter, as far as I'm concerned. Any priorities for you coming out of Portland?
Yeah, and I don't even know if Hood's going to play. Is it confirmed that he's in?
No idea.
Yeah, I think it's still in question.
I have him in
I
right
felt
now,
like-
but it's not really going to matter in the grand
Right.
scheme.
I felt like this with a lot of games on this slate where I can't get excited about certain teams. Even certain guys that have pretty reasonable prices, like Lillard. I just don't. I don't love it, man.
No.
I don't. Lillard, 8,900. I get it, but Miami's still a decent enough defense, and they're a pretty fundamentally sound team. Neither of us are going to say it's a smash spot for Dame Lillard. It's a decent spot because of his price. With Yusuf Nurkic, how easy is it to get there with Nurkic when center, as we've talked about, center's pretty deep today, and I'm talking about above and below him in price. We've talked about a lot of those guys, so I don't know how easy it is to get to Nurkic either. I really it doesn't feel easy to get to this Portland team. Please, if you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear it.
I'm with you. I have no real opinion on here. If I get some Lillard, I'm never upset. Otherwise, I'm just kind of indifferent.
It is nice to see Lillard get back to having a few of those big games, by the way.
It is.
Mark says, Laffy, why do you think Spoelstra does this to Whiteside? He's a good coach and has to see what everyone sees in Whiteside is productive on the floor. You think it's some kind of coaching tactic because Whiteside's immature? If you go back
He's
to
not good, but that's neither here nor there.
Who's not good?
Whiteside.
You don't think Whiteside's a good player?
Not really.
You think Bam Adebayo is better than him?
I haven't looked into it. I don't think it matters.
Whiteside's got some issues. He's definitely immature. I don't disagree with that. But I think he's a pretty good player. Um, Now blocks can be misleading because it doesn't mean you're great defensively.
Right.
But uh, just I will say this much: going back to when Whiteside first joined Miami, after being basically banished from the league out of Sacramento, and everyone didn't know. Everyone forgot who he was. Uh, they lost Chris Bosh. They lost basically the entire front court, and Whiteside was playing like 15, 16 minutes per game off the bench. He was posting near triple doubles, and it still took Spoelstra several months to even consider playing him at reasonable minutes. He'd rather play Udonis Haslem. There's always been this strange dynamic with these two, and I can't get into Spoelstra's head. I don't know if it's a personal issue, but this actually, believe it or not, is not new. This is something that's been happening for years now. Even when Spoelstra, or even when Whiteside gave them the best chance of winning back 4 or 5 years ago. I can't remember how many it was now, when they had absolutely nobody to soak up minutes at the 5, and Whiteside's going out there dropping 20 points in 15 minutes. It's a weird dynamic for sure.
People are freaking out in YouTube chat because I said he's not good. And then if you think Whiteside is not good, then you don't watch them play. You just look at fantasy numbers. That's the exact opposite argument. He's really good at fantasy numbers and not a great team player.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. But I don't think I disagree with you in that Whiteside's a bad player. I think Whiteside's a pretty decent player.
I mean, I think that he should play like 20 minutes a game for a good team.
Really?
Yeah. I think nobody wants him.
So
nobody wants him on that deal. Nobody wants him as a center.
You think Adebayo is a better player then? Because 20 minutes for Whiteside means 28 for Adebayo.
I mean, Bam Adebayo is 20 years old. I'd rather play Bam Adebayo for my future than do anything with Hassan Whiteside. Whiteside will get you nowhere of relevance. But like, I mean, it's hard to quantify that for me in terms of like what you're trying to get out of Bam for the future. I mean, how old is Whiteside? Like 29 or something?
He's 29 years old.
Yeah.
I'll give you this. Hassan Whiteside is clearly a better fantasy player than a real player.
Yeah, that is not even really close for up to debate.
It's not, but I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's not good. So that's where we differ. I do not think Whiteside is not a good player. He contributes, even if you were to say that defensively he's not that good, he is still one of the best rebounders in the game. Technically, in terms of rebound rate, there is not a better rebounder in the league than Hassan Whiteside. In terms of his ability to score, Whiteside is very talented at the center position. And as a shot blocker, he's very talented. He has a unique skill set that is a lot different from most other centers in the league. He absolutely has drawbacks as well, but the raw talent and upside in terms of Hassan Whiteside being out there gobbling up boards and being able to put points on the board and keep shots out of the basket, while again block shots and defense can be misleading. I don't think I can put him in the category as not a good player.
He's been better this year. Last year when he was on the floor, they had a negative 2.5 net rating when he was on, +2 when he was off. He's just never been a guy that has like dictated anything positive on the floor.
He's certainly not a game changer, no. But however,
I don't. It's not that I think he shouldn't be like out of a rotation or something like that. But he makes
just aren't a lot of players. There aren't a lot of players in the league that you can say are game changers.
I don't think that there's another team in the league that'd be like, I'd be happy to get Hassan Whiteside.
But how much of that has to do with off the court behavior and his personality and his attitude? That's a question that I can't answer. I don't know, but I think it's a question that needs to be asked.
I mean, it's surely a bit of it, without question. But I don't know. He's just, I mean, he is like the quintessential fantasy center, and that does not make him a good like team basketball player.
Although I will say,
I think we're on the same page for the most part. I mean, I don't think that you think he's like a 30-minute a game guy or like.
No, but I don't think he's a bad player. That's what I was saying. I don't think he's a bad.
I was probably aggressive in what I was saying.
I also think in tournaments, I'm still always willing to sprinkle him in because if Whiteside does play 30 minutes, he's very capable of going for like 24 and 20 with 5 blocks. If 30 minutes of Whiteside can result in monster numbers. But right now, he's playing more 20 to 24-minute games than 30-minute games, so there's a big risk there. And when it comes to the rest of this Miami team, I mean, you're really throwing darts. Like you've got minutes from Winslow and Wade and Johnson and Richardson and what are we going to get from Dion Waiters? No one knows. And it was Wayne Ellington going to get any run? Who knows? Maybe, probably not now that they're healthy. Rodney Magruder, he's no longer playing. Derek Jones is out, sure, but just seriously go throughout the entirety of the point guard through the wing positions, and I'm just tired of trying to guess because none of these guys are good enough to even warrant it most nights.
That YouTube chat is lit right now. The Heat coach sucks. That's the problem. Eric Spoelstra is like one of the 3 best coaches in the league by basically like everybody's opinion. I mean,
the Heat coach sucks. That's the best part.
If you put Whiteside on the Raptors or the Bucks right now, the East is a wrap. Those teams cruise to the finals. He doesn't start for either of those teams. Put it. All right, let's say it like this: he doesn't close for either of those teams.
Wait, was the Bucks mentioned in there?
Yeah, Raptors or Bucks right now in the East is a wrap.
I can tell you this much: the Bucks would want nothing to do with Whiteside because he 100% does not fit that scheme even a little. Can you imagine Whiteside playing alongside Giannis Antetokounmpo?
No,
Giannis can't. Giannis can't shoot from outside.
Yeah, there's a reason they didn't want John Henson any longer.
Why do you think they have Brook Lopez?
Yeah,
because Brook Lopez can jack up 10 shots a game, all of them 3-pointers, and Giannis can do the dirty work down low, and the paint can be cleared out. Whiteside is literally the worst fit for the Bucks than you could ever find.
They had him. His name was John Henson. Now he's on the Cavs.
Right. That's not me saying Whiteside's a bad player. Keep this in mind. He is a very bad fit for the Milwaukee Bucks. A very, very bad fit. Imagine replacing Brook Lopez, they've literally transformed into a 3-point shooting, that's it, center. Imagine replacing him with a guy in Hassan Whiteside who is permanently planted in the paint. Whew.
Imagine taking Pascal Siakam or Serge Ibaka off the floor for the Raptors to put Hassan Whiteside on.
It doesn't work.
No.
It doesn't work.
He's not going to either of those teams. Do you know why? Because those are the teams that are good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There are certain spots that it could work, meaning he'd
work for Dallas.
Work for Dallas, probably work for Charlotte.
He wouldn't play ahead of Cody Zeller.
Well, I'm not saying forget about playing ahead of him. I'm talking about the way that they play the game.
Sure. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about playing ahead of him. I'm not even getting that far into it. There are a few teams it would work for. The Milwaukee Bucks are likely the worst fit in the entire league among a handful of other teams.
Absolutely. There's the tangent we were looking for. How do you think
you needed to get that out of the way, huh?
Yeah, I guess. Kelly Olynyk, 14% ownership on DraftKings. How do you feel about that one now that he's playing 30 a game?
Yeah, I'll pass.
I agree.
Look, maybe that's a bit harsh. He's really inexpensive.
Yeah.
So if he keeps playing 30 minutes, then, have at it. But the only point to be made here is that, after talking about Spoelstra and this rotation, and granted, I understand that, Derek Jones Jr. being out definitely lifts Kelly Olynyk, but there's no guarantee that Kelly Olynyk continues to see these minutes. I don't hate him. I don't love this spot, but because, and by the way, I had not looked at his price point. I thought he was going to be a lot more expensive than that. Because Kelly Olynyk is that cheap, there's definitely an argument to be made for him. So I should probably backpedal a little bit on that. I thought he was going to be like 4,800.
Yeah, no, 39. It's worth it if there's no value.
I only have him projected for like 22 fantasy points. So
otherwise, I have no interest in anything else from Miami.
No, neither do I. Justice Winslow is a perennial letdown. like just every day it seems like, you get a good spot for him. Oh yeah, Winslow, point Winslow. You suck, man. Come on. Every time. Every time. And then he'll go out and drop 45 and then you roster him at a pretty heavy clip and he's dropping 17 fantasy points. I just don't see the need to roll the dice on any of these guys tonight, Josh. It's not really worth it. You don't need them,
No.
whether it be him or whether it be Richardson or whether it be hell. I'd almost rather play Dwayne Wade over any of them because when Dwayne Wade's having a strong game, Spoelstra keeps him out there and he basically just runs the offense for 30 minutes, or for 28 minutes. But that's still like entirely uncertain because we don't know if Wade's going to come out and start playing strong, and it's dependent on that.
Could Whiteside smash here if he's the one that gets the center minutes? Yup.
Of course he could.
Can Bam do it at 4,200 if he's the one that gets 28 minutes? Yup. Do we know who that's going to be before we get there? Nope.
Just never play Bam and Whiteside together.
Yeah.
If you want to sprinkle them in, go ahead. Just make sure they're not in the same lineup. That's all.
I think we're done. 2 hours on the dot right now. Probably could have got in under that 2 hour mark if we didn't go on the Whiteside tangent.
Yeah.
And boy, oh boy, is YouTube chat going insane for it.
Well, the whole Bucks thing is what set me off.
Yeah.
He would make the Bucks worse, and that doesn't mean because you're a bad player.
Yeah.
The type of player you are can make it. Jahlil Okafor is playing pretty well for the Pelicans right now. Imagine sticking him on the Bucks.
Oh my God, it'd be so bad.
Imagine what that would do to the Bucks.
They'd be terrible. There's the reason that the Bucks are smashing everyone and have the number 1 net rating on the floor right now is because they've got 4 shooters around Giannis and he can do whatever he wants.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's 100% what it is. And that's it. It's because you have 4 shooters that can just spread, that can open things up, clear out the paint, and let Giannis do his thing. But 4 shooters that are actually reliable enough shooters to where you have to pay attention to them.
Yeah, it's just craziness. Brook Lopez has been a revelation for that Bucks team.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, they were just circling all these John Henson, Tyler Zeller at one point in time.
Bring back Larry Sanders. Bring back the block party.
Right.
I'm kidding, but I loved Larry Sanders, man. I loved him so much.
That like a 16-month stretch where he went crazy and then the Bucks gave him $50 million was great.
DraftKings left him. This is a long time ago. DraftKings had him at $3,000 flat for about a month straight
when he was playing.
When he was in the midst of that run, his price didn't change for 3 weeks to a month.
Oh God! Alrighty,
but
let's get out of here before I go insane.
Last thing I'll say, earlier this season, if you remember, I tweeted out or and referenced the stat where of the top 10 most wide open three-point attempts in the league, about a month into the season, 4 of them were on the Bucks. 4 of them were on the Bucks. The most wide open 3-point attempts. Brolo, Brogdon, I think Middleton and Bledsoe. 4 of them, Josh. Why? Ask yourself why that is. There's one answer and one answer only. His name is Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's it.
So good. People think that I'm like rallying against Hassan Whiteside from a fantasy stance. They're not even. It's not the same discussion. Not even close. If Whiteside put up 60 tonight, I'd be like, yeah, I'm sure he did.
There are actually a lot of good basketball players that are garbage for fantasy.
Yeah. Danny Green. Garbage fantasy player. Fantastic piece to a team.
Give you the biggest one in the entire league.
Joel Embiid?
No, of course not. Andre Roberson.
Yeah. Garbage.
Their defense went from 2nd to 28th last year with Roberson off the court. That's how big of an influence he has on this team. And from a fantasy standpoint, you're lucky to get 20 fantasy points once every 2 months.
We just got a decent example from YouTube chat. Klay Thompson, much better NBA player than he is fantasy player.
Yep. And imagine putting Klay Thompson on a team where you don't have a Steph Curry.
Yeah.
His value takes a dramatic hit.
Yeah.
You know, where Klay Thompson is your number one, good luck.
Yeah, no. It's weird. We get caught up. We talk so much about fantasy that it clouds our lens of what we think is a good or bad actual basketball player. And they're two wildly different things.
Right. Do you know how many dribbles Klay Thompson had in that game where he shot 10 of 11 from 3?
It was like 0 or 1 or something stupid, right?
He had 2 dribbles the entire game.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But yeah, definitely a better real life player than a fantasy player. But also someone like Whiteside and like a bunch of these other guys that is definitely affected by what his role is. And if he doesn't have the appropriate role, his numbers are going to suffer.
Yep. TJ McCollum, there's another one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get out of here. Thank you for joining us. NBA Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month. Adam will have the deep dive out at like, I don't know, 4:55 today. I don't want to be too early with my guess. Deeper dive coming at 5 o'clock. And then from 6 to 7, Chris Spags and Fast City Fear taking you all the way up to lock. Ooh. Oh, and we have we got Tim and Ben breaking down the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am 2:30. So join them if you want to talk some golf. I assume Hassan Whiteside would be terrible at golf too. Laffy, anything else?
How to do it, man. We'll see you tonight.
Later, guys.